Good morning, all of you. So today I'll have to start your chapter number 12. Yesterday I've given you a brief about the chapter. So in this chapter today we'll start with the problem of poverty. So all of you open your book, page number 175. Okay, in that if you see the problem of poverty topic, in that you see, all of you, poverty is as old as mankind. Poverty has degraded human life for centuries, but one of the greatest achievements of the 20th century is its dramatic reduction. Although poverty has been greatly reduced in many parts of the world, countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America are still characterized by the existence of poverty. One third of the population of these developing countries still remain in severe poverty. Although pockets of poverty exist even in the 100 developed countries of Europe and America, it is largely the third world countries which faces the problem of massive poverty. Okay, so poverty is as old as mankind. Okay, so the problem of poverty is existing since the beginning of the civilization. Okay, and poverty actually, it actually degraded the human life. Okay, and but if you see this problem of poverty has been continuously reducing. Okay, but the countries, those continent like which is mentioned, Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Okay, so Asia, the countries of Asian continent, the countries of African continent, the countries of the Latin America continent, basically these countries still have a massive, in these countries, in the countries of these continents still have a massive number who are suffering from poverty. Is it clear? Although the problem of poverty is reducing slowly and gradually. Okay, if we say that European continent don't have the poverty, no, they also have a poverty. Okay, but the kind of the poverty which is present in these in these continents, especially the continent of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, is something which is there in the structure of these continents. Okay, basically these continents are the continents where maximum countries have a huge population, and the poverty which exists in these continent is due to the excess of population. If something exists due to the excess of population, it means that that problem is actually in the structure of the country. Okay, so poverty is something which is universal issue. It is not only related to India, that only in India we have a problem of poverty. Problem of poverty is a universal problem which exists in almost every continent of the world. Okay, now when you talk about the problem of poverty, especially for India, then poverty was always a challenging task for for Indian economy also. Okay, you see the next paragraph. Economic growth is meaningless if a sizable segment of the society remains poor. As I told you that Indian economic growth is rising. The economic growth of India is continuously increasing. But this increase in economic growth of our country becomes meaningless. Why it becomes meaningless? Because still a massive population of our country, that is 28% of the total population of India, are under the grip of poverty. So how can we say that India has achieved the rate of economic growth when we have so much of population who are still under the problem of poverty? Then, high poverty level is synonymous with poor quality of life, deprivation, malnutrition, illiteracy, and low human resource development. The slogan of poverty eradication has been adopted by all political parties despite various schemes and programs adopted to achieve the objective of eradicating poverty. The problem of poverty continues to haunt the Indian economy. Yes, it is haunting the Indian economy. Although, because we are a democratic country, we have a multi-party system. Most of the countries, in their agenda, they say that we'll try to solve the problem, or we'll solve the problem of poverty. But still today also poverty is one of the biggest challenge for the Indian economy, which Indian economy still need to tackle. Okay, now, so this is just a small description about the poverty, which is a problem not only for India or Indian economy or any developing country. Poverty is a problem which is universal, which exists in almost, every country of the world. So what do you mean by poverty? What actually is poverty? Okay, now if I'll ask to some layman that what is poverty, then obviously the person who is poor, who is not able to fulfill his basic necessities of life, is poverty. True, poverty is the same. Those who are not able to fulfill their basic necessities of life are considered as poor. But only this definition cannot be taken to explain poverty, because poverty is not restricted only to this particular definition. Poverty is something which is multidimensional. Poverty is explained actually, one is income poverty, one is human poverty, one is absolute poverty, one is relative poverty. Okay, income poverty means those individuals who are unable to earn sufficient income to fulfill their basic necessities of life, they are called as poor. Poor in what category? In the category of income poverty. But there is one more poverty exists, that is called, despite of the fact that the people have the money, the people have all the basic necessities of life, but still they are called as poor. Who are called as poor? Like when India was under the British control, every Indian was poor. Why every Indian was poor? Because the people of India, many people were there at that time in India who were very rich, but then also they were poor because they were not liberal, they were not free, they were not having the right to speech, all right, all their rights were not enjoyed by them. So human poverty means the kind of the poverty in which people are unable to live a tolerable life. They don't have a self-respect in the society, they don't have a dignity in the society, they don't have a freedom in the society. They are also called poor. Not only poverty is related to the income, where people are unable to earn income to buy themselves the basic necessities. That is also poverty, and mostly poverty is defined on that ground only. But poverty is also human poverty. Human poverty means those who are unable to live or lead a tolerable life. Those who don't have love, affection, respect, dignity, freedom, speak. Those who are unable to speak, raise their voice for anything, they are also considered as poor. Is it clear? So poverty is something multi-dimensional. Okay, so now all of you open your copy. In that copy you write concept of poverty. All of you write down the concept of poverty. And the first fact, right under the concept of poverty. Poverty, the concept of poverty is multi-dimensional. The concept of poverty is multi-dimensional. Okay, the concept of poverty is multi-dimensional. Full stop. Then write it not only discuss the lack of basic necessities of life. It not only discuss the lack of basic necessities of life, but also it discuss the denial of opportunity, but also it discuss the denial of opportunity to lead a tolerable life. To lead a tolerable life. To lead a tolerable life, comma, to lead a long, healthy and creative life. To lead a tolerable life, comma, to live long, healthy and creative life, comma, to enjoy a decent standard of living, comma, freedom, comma, dignity and self-respect. Full stop. This is the complete meaning of poverty. So what is poverty? Poverty is multidimensional. Poverty not only discusses the lack of the basic necessities of life, but it also discusses the denial of opportunity to live a tolerable life. Means those who are unable to live a tolerable life are also considered as poor. And first one, denial to live a tolerable life, then to live a long, healthy and creative life. Those people who have everything but unable to live the long, healthy and creative life are also considered as poor. Then to enjoy, those who don't enjoy a decent standard of living are also considered as poor. Those who don't have a freedom, dignity, self-respect are also considered as poor. So this is the complete meaning of poverty. Okay. Now, after this meaning of poverty, what you people have written, I hope you people have understood. Now, change the paragraph and then write, poverty is defined in two ways. The concept of poverty, right? The concept of poverty is defined in two ways, and give a dash. Then write number 1, income poverty. Number 2, human poverty. Human poverty. Now, income poverty means, it's simple. What is income poverty? Income poverty means those individuals whose income is so low that they are unable to fulfill their basic necessities of life. Then they will be called as poor under the category of income poverty. So let us write the meaning of income poverty. Write on the heading income poverty. Then write the type of poverty which discuss the lack of the basic necessities of life. The type of poverty which discuss the lack of basic necessities of life is called income poverty. Is called income poverty. Full stop. Now, second one, write human poverty. Human poverty. The type of poverty which discuss the denial of opportunity to live a tolerable life. Denial of opportunity to live a tolerable life is called human poverty. Is called human poverty. Full stop. Then write, okay, in income poverty, one more thing you people have to write. So you have written the meaning of income poverty as the type of poverty which discuss the lack of basic necessities of life is called income poverty. After that, one more sentence you write, it is expressed in monetary term, that is income. It is expressed in monetary term, that is income. Full stop. This much for income poverty. And what you have written for human poverty? Human poverty, the type of poverty which discuss the denial of opportunity to lead a tolerable life is called human poverty. Full stop. Then write, it is not expressed in monetary terms. It is not expressed in monetary terms, but it is expressed in terms of dignity, self-respect, love, affection, freedom, etc. Is it clear? So this is called your human poverty. This is the complete meaning of poverty. Okay, so the first one, then after that change the paragraph again. So what you people have written? You people have written the meaning of poverty. Then you people have written that poverty can be defined in two ways, that is income poverty and human poverty. All right, then after this change the paragraph and then write, the concept of poverty is explained in terms of, the concept of poverty is explained in terms of, after in terms of, give a small dash, then write number 1, absolute poverty, and number 2, relative poverty. Number 1, absolute poverty, and number 2, relative poverty. Now try to understand absolute and relative. Okay, now what do you mean by absolute? Absolute poverty means it talks about a section of society who is unable to get even the basic necessities of life and thereby unable to have a decent standard of living. Because what I said just now, the 28% of the total population of India are living below the poverty line. So here, when you talk about the absolute poverty, means absolutely you are knowing that these many people are unable to fulfill their basic necessities of life and thereby unable to have a decent standard of living, then these 28% of the total population of India will be called as absolutely poor, because we know that this particular section of the society is unable to fulfill its basic necessities of life and unable to live a decent standard of living. So we consider them absolutely poor. So that is the meaning of absolute poverty. What do you mean by absolute poverty? Absolute poverty is a phenomena when a section of the society is unable to fulfill its basic necessities of life and thereby unable to maintain its decent standard of living. Then we call them absolutely poor. Okay, now come to the relative poverty. Relative poverty means when we compare one section of the society with the other section of the society, and then we decide that this is the average standard to maintain a decent standard of living. Okay, relative means we do the comparison. So what do you mean by relative poverty? The phenomena when the income needed for consumption expenditure. What is relative poverty? Relative poverty means the phenomena which discuss about that level of income which is needed to maintain a minimum consumption expenditure, okay, of a section of society is distinctively below the average income of the society. ठीक है, मतलब कि अगर हम कहें कि कंजम्पशन एक्सपेंडिचर जो चाहिए एक डिसेंट स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग के लिए महीने में कम से कम 10,000 रुपए डिसेंट है, 10,000 rupees is decent to have a minimum standard of living. Those people who are unable to earn that 10,000 rupees and unable to maintain their minimum consumption expenditure, they will be called as relatively poor. Is it clear to all of you? So, concept of poverty is explained in terms of absolute poverty first, in terms of relative poverty second. So let us write the meaning of absolute poverty. Write down absolute poverty. So write down the meaning. The phenomena when a section of the society is unable to get even the basic necessities of life, and thereby it is unable to have a minimum standard of living, comma, is called absolute poverty. Full stop. Okay, what I have said, the phenomena when a section of the society is unable to get even the basic necessities of life and thereby it is unable to have a minimum standard of living is called absolute poverty. Full stop. Now write on the second one, relative poverty. Under this you write, the phenomena when the income needed for consumption expenditure of a society, of a section of the society, the phenomena when the income needed for consumption expenditure of a section of a society is distinctively below the average income level of the society, income level of the society, comma, is called relative poverty. Full stop. So here we are comparing the income of a section of a society, okay, with the average income level. ठीक है, तो हम यहां पे क्या कर रहे हैं, कंपेयर कर रहे हैं कि किस सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी की इनकम डिस्टिंक्टिवली कम है एवरेज लेवल ऑफ इनकम के. सो यहां पहले हम लोग एवरेज लेवल ऑफ इनकम डिसाइड करते हैं, फिर हम लोग कंपेयर करते हैं. जब हमको पता चलती है कि इस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी की इनकम एवरेज लेवल ऑफ इनकम से कम है तो हम लोग कहते हैं उसको रिलेटिव poverty. So we have completed today the concept of poverty. So poverty is multidimensional. Why? Because poverty is income poverty, poverty is human poverty, poverty is absolute poverty, poverty is relative poverty. Poverty is not only those who are unable to fulfill their basic necessities of life. Poverty is also those who are unable to lead a tolerable, denial of opportunity to lead a tolerable life, to have a decent, long and healthy life, to have a decent standard of living, they are also called as poor. Poverty is also absolute poverty, where the people are unable to fulfill their basic necessities of life and thereby unable to have a decent standard of living. Poverty is also relative poverty, where the income needed for consumption expenditure of a section of society is distinctively below the average level of income of the society. Then we call it what? Poverty relative. So now you have understood that poverty is something which is not restricted only with those who are not able to earn income, they are poor. Poverty is something which is multidimensional. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to discuss vicious circle of poverty. Today I have completed concept of poverty. So please complete the notes of the concept of poverty for today. Thank you, children.